Hello. I have a fun project that I'm working on today, and it is actually book 2 in a series called The Celestial Bodies. It is about gods and goddesses, and they each have their own star sign. And book 1 was about two characters, Ariana and Bolton, and Ariana was Sagittarius and Bolton was Aries. In our next book, which is called Awful Intentions, it's book 2, our main characters are Nyx and Luna, and Nyx just happens to be Cancer and Luna is Scorpio. So the reason why I'm telling you that will come up in just a minute, but I'm going to quickly walk you through the elements that we did for book 1. And Elena, I think is how we pronounce her name, she came to me asking, she wanted to do black pages. That was her goal. She wanted something black pages for her paperback. So I put together a couple of different concepts for her, and she chose this particular concept, and I used a series of star map graphics for the background. And yeah, I loved star charts when I was in high school. My walls were decorated with a bunch of different posters related to these different star charts. And it's funny because this particular star chart here, I had a big, huge poster on my wall when I was in high school that was very similar to this star chart. So it was really cool to work on this book with her. So I just wanted to walk you through this particular book and kind of show you what I'm doing for book 2 because it's very similar. This is the title page. You'll notice that all the text is white, and then we have the star chart, which is actually it is on a black background, and you'll notice I have a Photoshop file with different star charts on it, and this is what I use to create those full black backgrounds. Okay, so if we look at some of the graphics in our InDesign file, you'll note that the size of the graphics are 12.25 by 9.25, and that should be very close to, yes, 12.25 by 9.25. So this is a 6x9 book with an 1/8 of an inch bleeds all the way around. So this is what the graphic size would be that would allow it to spread across the 2-page spreads, across the double-page spread with a bleed. So that's something to note. If you plan on doing that, you need to think about the size of your graphic. And this just happens to be what works for a 6x9 book. All right, so this particular Photoshop file has all the different star charts in it. And you'll just see different ones I use. This one's Sagittarius, and then this one is the Nyx, and I have a couple of other ones there as well. But how I created this, I just did a black background, and then I had a collection of these star charts that were, if we take the black background off, we really can't see it. You'll see how faded it is, and you'll notice that I have this layer set to normal, and the opacity is at 25, and then I have a black and white layer on top. So we're going to turn the black and white layer off, and then we're going to turn up the opacity to 100%. You will see that the graphic is actually bold, I'm sorry, not bold, but gold. And so this is what the graphics looked like, and I'm going to show you if I can find where I had them. Sorry, I am on my other screen right now. So give me a minute and I will show you. Yes, so this is, I'm going to bring my other screen over here. So this was a collection of graphics that I had bought, and this is what they all looked like. All right, so they're PNGs on a transparent background. That's what the checkered board is, and there were a whole bunch of different star charts within this, each with the different star sign. All right, so now what we need to do, I had mentioned that Our new characters are Scorpio and Cancer. All right, and I need to look at something because I made a note that was incorrect. All right, Scorpio is Nyx. I think I said he was Cancer before, but I was wrong. All right, so we already have Scorpio's star chart done because he was actually included in our book 1. He had a chapter towards the end. All right, so here is his star chart. Now we need to do Luna's, which is Cancer. And we are going, this program that I'm using to view the graphics, it's called Adobe Bridge. And I will eventually do a tutorial on this program because it really is a great program to view graphics, because it allows you to view Photoshop files, Illustrator files, vectors, everything a lot better than your general file manager for Windows. Now I can't compare it to Macs because you know me, I'm not on a Mac. But definitely want you to kind of play around with Bridge because it truly is a great little program. I know a lot of designers really don't like it, but I love it. All right, so what I'm doing now is I am just searching these particular graphics for, I need Cancer, and my sister's a Cancer, so I should know what the icon is, but I don't. Y'all are all probably saying, I know what it is, I know what it is. So, Cancer star chart. Alright, so, kind of know what it looks like now. And you can see on some of these, you can see the name of it. And if y'all see it, I would love for you to tell me because I'm just not seeing them. All right, crab. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the crab. I should know that. My sister's Cancer. All right, so here is, we have to kind of look all over because there may be a crab somewhere. Like we see Gemini here. This is Leo, and I know this is not a crab, but I'm just trying to acclimate myself to each one. And of course, I'm going to cry if there's not a crab on one. So I'll have to go back to the drawing board. I guess Cancer can be a crab or a lobster, right? Well, it's mainly a crab. All right, so okay, I'm gonna not bore you with me trying to find the crab. It's Taurus, Gemini. Oh, there we go. Okay, so here's the crab. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up this in Photoshop. And since I already have this built in, I'm actually just going to create a new layer. And I am going to just simply grab this image and move it over. And I am going to, now, normally I would not resize graphics to this extent. But because this is a background and we really want it to be kind of big, and the fact that this is going to be faded out, it's okay. It's really not going to be that big of a deal to kind of create the pixels ourselves. All right, so I really want, if we look at Scorpio here, we're just going to kind of position Cancer kind of just like this, okay? All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save this as Cancer. And we need to do the same thing where our fill is 25%, and we have a black and white layer on top, and we have the black background, okay? And in the version of in the other versions, I whited out this line here. So I'm just going to do that with a mask. So if you're not familiar with Photoshop, what a mask does is it just hides certain elements of a graphic without really taking it away. So if you decided, hey, I really need those words in there, you can come back and do them, and you didn't erase them, you just hid them. So this little icon that kind of looks like a Japanese flag, where it's a rectangle with a dot in the center, this is a mask, all right? So you'll notice on that particular layer, it created a white extra, whatever you want to call it. This is the mask, all right? So to hide things, we paint on the mask, not on the graphic, because if we paint on the graphic, we're changing the graphic. So we're painting on the mask in black. I'm just going to use a standard hard brush. Doesn't have to be big at all. And I am painting in black, and I'm just going to remove those lines. And you really can't see it, but on this little mask right here, it will show in black. All right, and that's a mask. So I already saved this. I'm going to save it again. And so when I go to create my pages for the Luna character, this is going to be our background. Now, I believe I have the backgrounds already ready for everything else. So we're going to go back to look at the book, and I'll kind of show you the elements to it. All right, so this is the title page, and I need to do the title for the second book, which is called Awful Intentions, in this similar fashion. So we'll do that in just a minute. I'm going to make a list of the things that I need to do to get ready. Title, Awful Intentions. The good thing is because I've already done book 1, this is actually something that can be quick and easy to do book 2. I mean, because you don't have to redesign it, basically. All right, so all right, here is the next double page spread, which is the copyright page and the dedication. Again, we have white text, and we just used one of those star charts as the background. And here is another page that lists out all the characters, and you really can't see this unless we zoom in, but these are just little icons that I created using just some graphics that I had come across, along with this little element that we created for these books. It's just a circle with little round things around it and some stars scattered about. And then I just placed an icon for that particular character. All right. And then again, we use the full version of the star chart here. So this star chart and this star chart are the same. We just are viewing it in a 2-page spread, so it looks a little different. And then here is the prologue. We use that same graphic. And then I also created this graphic for her chapter titles and all the other specialty titles. So, you know, here's one for characters, here's one for dedication. And then we'll get into all the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 as we're building the page. All right, so here is chapter 1. You'll know there is a double page spread. We've got the Sagittarius star chart in the background, and then we've got the text in white. And we have a drop cap with this little flourish on it. And then we go into white pages. A thing to note is that you don't want a book full of black pages. It might be a little bit too difficult to read. You might get some complaints. It might be a little hard on the eyes. But 1 page of white text is going to be okay. So we rotate from black to white whenever there's chapter title page. So here is chapter 2, which is Ariana again. So we have the Sagittarius star chart. And then here is a new character. This is where Bolton is introduced. And so we have his star chart, which is Aries. All right. Then I'm going to show you one more page. And this is back to Bolton. And it is the Aries star chart again. Now, you will note that chapter 3, we have white text on the left-hand side. But chapter 4, we have a blank side. Because this book, we set it up so that all chapter pages begin on a right-hand page. All right, so in these instances, sometimes you are going to have blank left-hand pages. The general rule in book design is to never have blank pages on a right-hand side, which is your recto page, but it's okay to have blank pages on your left-hand side, which is your verso page. So just something to note, you never want this side, your right side, to be blank, but it's okay for the left. So for this particular book, we just started all new chapters, and I did that for purposes of the graphic, so that it would always be, you know, so sometimes we'd have the double page spread that was completely blank on the left-hand page. It was just a design decision I did. All right, so other elements in this book, you'll just notice that sometimes these pages rotate. And let's see, nothing special. We had a letter there, double page spread. I'm just scrolling because this is where the texts start. In this particular book, she had some texts, and we just used little symbols that were character symbols similar to the other symbols that we used on the character page. These are just the symbols for that particular star chart, or for that particular horoscope person, zodiac symbol, whatever you want to call it. So that's what we did with the text messages, just to add another little cute graphical element. And we didn't use the ones that were on the character pages because they would have need to have been bigger to make them stand out, to make them visible. So we just went with these little icons here. Now, something to note, and this is something that I highly, highly recommend if you're going to do a book with special black pages, get a proof. Get a proof done so you know what to expect when it is printed. About 5 years ago, somebody asked me to design a book with these black pages. I probably would have said no because the quality was poor. Now, in the past 5 years, POD printing has greatly improved. So you're seeing a lot more of these specially designed paperback books, which is exciting for me because I love the extra pizzazz that we can do in the designs. So POD printing still is not up to par. It still will not compare to offset printing. So just make sure you get a proof copy done so you know what to expect. It still looks good. There are some, you can see some of the dots in the printing. 5 years ago, POD printing was no better than a copier, but I really feel like they've greatly improved it since. But just always get a proof copy so you'll know what to expect. And let's see, what else do I want to mention? I think that's about it for this. Now that we've got that one graphic set up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create this. What I did is I opened up the final file that we had when we finished book 1, and I went ahead and saved it as book 2's title. So I use this. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. All my paragraph styles are set up, and all my master pages are set up. So all I need to do is just update the text and go through and format it. So this makes it a lot easier than doing it from scratch every time. So if you are doing a series, whether it's your own or a series for another author, you will want to make sure that you use the previous book as your template. Just don't save on top of it, all right? So you don't have to start with the template, the regular template. You just go back to that last version of you did of the previous book, then do a file save as the second book, and then delete the text out. And then place your new text in, all right? Which I've already done here. And one thing you'll notice is that all of my graphics have little question marks. All right, so this just means we need to update the location because it's not finding where they are at. So I just need to tell it, and usually when you tell it where the location of one is, it'll automatically update the rest. So we'll see if it does that. So I'm going to tell it to go to the proper folder. And this is just from when I did a save as, so I saved it in a new folder, so it's looking in the links folder of that new folder. And that's it. All right. So the only thing it didn't find is the title page. So we are going to look to see where that's at. And if you click on the graphic under links, the one that has the question mark, it will tell you where it's looking. All right, so it's looking under my clients folder, under the name of the client, in the originals folder, and it's looking for the black and white title, PSD. Now the reason why it's not finding it is because I redid the folder, and I actually moved book 1 into its new folder where I had not done that before. So now it's going to find that particular graphic, and we do not want to do that. All right, so now that's the way it is. All right, now you're going to look at some funny things here. This is a little swoosh that's like, what in the world does that even go to? You'll notice that we have graphics for every single chapter, and I'm going to show you what her folder looks like so you can kind of get an idea of how I built this book. Oops, wrong one. Wrong folder. And all right. So you'll note that I have created graphics for each individual element. These are actually the chapter pages, but because they're black, you can't, because the text is white and they're on black pages, you really can't see what it looks like. So these were all the graphics, and then these were her graphics from the ebook. And here are those other graphics that we created. So it's kind of hard to see because they're all Adobe Illustrator files that are meant to be on black pages. I didn't save them as a PNG. If I had saved them out as a PNG, we'd be able to see them, but I wanted to keep them vector because vector typically will print a little bit better. It'll print more crisp since it is mathematical based instead of raster. And then these are our scene breaks. And then you will see all the different black and white star charts that I have saved, and then even more graphics that we really can't tell what they are because they are white. All right. So this book was a lot of graphics, and yes, I did create each one by hand, but now I don't have to because I created them for book 1. The only reason why I may need to create more graphics is if she has more chapters. In this one, she had all the way to chapter 33. So if she has more than 33 chapters, I will have to go in and make more graphics for how many ever chapters she has. All right, so now in viewing that, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create 2 master pages, and let's see. No, I'm not. Now I know why I did that. I'm going to go ahead and, this is what I get for doing something on the fly like this, wanting to show you something, and I probably wasn't 100% ready to show it all to you. Let's see. All right, so we have a prologue in this one as well. we have, and then chapter 1 begins with Luna. And the prologue is Nyx, and chapter 1 is Luna. So I am in chapter 1 begins with life. And what does this begin with? V. All right, so let's go ahead, just for purposes of this demonstration. I'm going to go ahead and clean up this document real quick, where we get rid of the 2 spaces replaced with 1. And then paragraph space replaced with paragraph. And then space paragraph replaced with paragraph. And then we are going to quickly do a search for any tab characters. Let's turn on our characters. So there's just a rogue. All right, we're going to find them in certain places that we don't really care about. So they're always going to be in the table of contents if somebody did the table of contents. All right, so this book does have 46 chapters, so I am going to have to make several more graphics. And in looking at this, we have Nyx, Luna, Ariana, who was in book 1, so we already have her star chart done. Caleb, we do not have a star chart for him, so we're going to have to create his. And let's look at the characters to see what he is. Caleb is Aquarius, so we'll need to do a star chart for Aquarius. And then we have Hades. And we're going to have to figure out what we want to do for Hades. So we probably will just do just a regular star chart for him. And Kate is another character I don't think we've built before. She's Taurus. So we'll have to do a Taurus star chart. And then Avery, I'll have to do a star chart for that one as well, which I do not see. It may be a special character, so we'll probably just do a regular star chart for her. So that just gives me an idea of what I'm going to need to create. I'm going to need to create a couple more star charts for that particular title, and then I'm going to need to create about 12 more graphics for the chapter titles. All right, so now I'm just going to quickly, now that I've got this cleaned up, I'm just going to do a file save as and just do a clean. And what I am going to do is I'm actually going to delete out, because most of this stuff I already have a structure for it in the first document, so I'm not going to worry about including this just yet. And I can actually delete that graphic out. What we're going to do is we are going to just delete all of this material that I do not need. I'm going to go through and delete those chapter graphics, chapter 2, because I don't need these. These were her graphics for the for the ebook, and I do not need these. So I'm going to go through and delete all those out, and I'm not going to do them all right here. I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit so I can show you a couple of things when I incorporate it in. All right, so we're going to save this again. We're going to save it as clean. And then what I'm going to do is I am actually going to go ahead and bring in this document. So we're going to close this, and we are going to go to here. Actually, let's go ahead. I'm going to pay attention to how our text flows. So we're just going to go here. All right, and we're just going to clear overrides for here. All right, so this is where I need, and of course everything messed up, which is okay. So this is where I need to insert the Word document, because this is going to be the beginning of my text thread. So let's go ahead and go to place, because remember, we never copy, we're just going to place. It'll take a minute. And one of the most difficult things that happens when you're doing black pages is initially you can't see the text because it does come through as black text. So you need to make sure to change it to white text. Now I do have a couple of styles set up for white text, but one thing, actually I may have done it as a character style, I can't remember, it's been a while. I probably have a character style as well as a paragraph style. Because if you have a paragraph that doesn't end on a black page and then the following page it continues on a white page, you have to split that paragraph up. So you need to split the white part by using a white character style. So that's the way I did it. And let's see, I may have not created a character style for white pages. Nope, I didn't. So I just strictly used character styles when setting the white the white text. So another thing to note too is that you also need to have a character style for white italic, just in case any italics are on those pages. All right, so now what we need to do is, now that I have it placed, we need to run our scripts. So I am going to run the prep text script first. And the prep text script is the script that goes through the document and looks for those instances where we have italics or bolds, and it converts them into a character style. All right, and it just takes a minute to run, and it doesn't ever tell us it's done. But if you're ever curious whether it actually worked or not, just go and find your first instance of italic and look to see if it actually created a character style and assigned one. So this is bold italic, and it did assign a bold italic character style, so we know that script did run. All right, the next script is just that find change by list, which is, we've already done some of the things in the Word document, but these will also actually look for the M dashes, the double dashes, and change them to M dashes, and some other things as well. And if you ever want to see what all it changes, you can view the text document here, and it gives you a list of everything that it does. All right, so now what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you the kind of weirdness of this particular document. So first off, I'm going to pull up the older version so I know what I named everything. Alright, so we are going to pull up the final file from last time, just so I can see what styles I used, what I named them. Alright, so this is chapter title, and first paragraph drop cap, and chapter text. Alright, so the normal. Alright, so this is going to be chapter title. We're going to go to our headings, clear character style, and then this is going to be first pair drop cap, and then the rest is going to be chapter text. So we're going to go ahead and delete our normal and convert it to chapter text, and then click on OK. So InDesign is going through everything. Alright, so now we still have those overrides in, and ignore this mess right now. That sometimes happens when we use previous books. All the pages kind of get screwed up after you place the file. All right, now one thing to note is that this is the Nyx chapter, and so for Nyx, we know we want our background to be Scorpio. All right, so when doing graphics that cover a full page spread like this, if we remember, we went back to our image size. 12.25 by 9.25, so this was a 6 by 9 double page spread. So you will note that our page setup is 6 by 9. So the book is 6 by 9, but we have to build in our bleed. So here is our bleed, which is an 1/8 of an inch all the way around except the inside part. We do not do bleeds on the inside of the book. And then if we look at this, you will notice that there is a red line around our page. That is our bleed line. So any graphics that are going to bleed off the page need to be extended to that red box. Otherwise, you're going to get an error from the printer saying that the graphics do not extend to the area that it needs to be, and both Ingram Spark and KDP will kick it back. So that's the biggest thing when doing graphics, is that make sure if you have a bleed that it extends all the way out. And when you actually go to print the PDF, so let's say this was done and we needed to print the PDF, you actually save it with the bleed. All right, so you go to PDFX1A, you click on Marks and Bleed, and you use Document Bleed Settings, which is that 0.125, which is the 1/8 of an inch all the way around except the inside. All right. One of the things that I always check in a PDF before I send it to a client, if it's the final print ready PDF, I always make sure there's a bleed if the book has a bleed. If the book doesn't have a bleed, you do not need to include it. All right, so now if we look at this in print preview, all our text goes away because we haven't set it to white text yet. But before I do that, I'm actually going to clear out all these overrides. I'm just going to simply do that by doing our little find and replace, where we find any character style. We don't want to change this because we don't want to change any character styles. We just want to change the paragraph style of chapter text and replace it with chapter text to get rid of our overrides. We're going to do a clear all, and then this should get rid of all of that highlighted text. All right, so there we go. All right, so now this one needs to be cleared. Now we can't see anything. Great! So this is one of the fun parts of doing these kind of books, is we just kind of have to guess. So I'm just going to scroll, start at the top, and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and we can see our last character style there, and I'm going to change it to white. Now, the key thing is that look at how the first pair drop cap came through. That looks really bad. We need to make a note of that. For now, I'm going to, because of this yellow is distracting, this is an H&J violation, I'm actually going to go to Preferences and just turn off my H&J violations, just so I don't see that yellow. And then I'm going to, when I go at the end, when I'm looking to clean up the book with balanced pages and H&J violations, I'll pay attention to those areas once again. All right, so I don't remember why and what I did for this drop cap to work properly, but in looking at the character styles, it looks like I had a particular one set up that said drop cap T. So there it is. I corrected whatever issue that was. All right, so another thing to note in looking at our everything from the previous book is all these little swooshes. Some of them were included with the letter, and some of them I actually have just a little graphic that I drew and just put on top of it. All right, so we need to find how I did T's. There's an A, N, T. All right, so all I need to do is just grab this. I selected it. I did a Control-C, and then I'm going to do a paste in place. All right, so I know that I think we may have to reposition. There we go. All right, so there it is. That's the little swoosh on the T. So you'll know a lot of little specialty customizations went into this book because not all letters have any little swooshes, and for the drop caps I wanted special swooshes for everything. All right, so now what we're going to do is actually, for now, I'm just going to delete these 2 pages. We don't even need that right now. And then I'm going to delete, and I'm actually going to remove our page number 1 because this prologue is a bit longer than what the prologue was in book 1. All right, so now what I'm going to do is just remove all those graphics that I had, and I'm going to assign the A master page to everything in this book for now. This is a pretty big book, so this can be a little slow. And if you have a book that really takes a lot of time and starts slowing you down, I have a pretty fast computer, pretty robust computer, so it takes a lot for a book to really slow my system down, but you may not have as robust of a computer that I do, and that's okay. InDesign can still function, it just will go a little bit slow during certain things. And if you have a book that is incredibly long, like my gauge is usually about 500 pages, and in some cases, if it's a nonfiction book that has a lot of graphics to it, I will do these as well. But there's a feature in InDesign that I have not mentioned yet, but in my new videos when I put them out, I will be mentioning it, and it's the book feature in InDesign. Now, anything under 500 pages, I will not use this feature because it's a bit cumbersome. But if it is a book that has a lot of graphics, a lot of tables, a lot of charts and things like that, and is long, I will use the book feature. What the book feature is it takes a collection of InDesign files and puts them together in a book document. So you only have to work chapter by chapter. So each chapter is saved as a file. So you wind up having, let's say you have a 30 chapter book, you will have your front matter, each chapter saved as a file, and then your back matter. So if you have a 30-page book, you're going to have 32 different InDesign files. And so there's this feature in InDesign called a book file where you tell all the individual InDesign documents that make up that book and the order that they come in, so it keeps track of page numbers and everything for you, and it does an automatic table of contents for you. And if you have endnotes and footnotes that continue consecutive numbers throughout, it keeps track of all that for you. Also, if the book has an index, it will index that whole book file and not just each individual chapter. So if you do have a book that is a bit cumbersome and it's really slowing your system down, one of the things you can do is split it into a book document. And one day, if I ever have a sample of where I have to do that, I will show you how to do that. But if you do have a situation that you think would best work as a book document, I will be happy to show you how to do it. All right, so now the InDesign, I thought for a minute that it froze. It has assigned the A master page to everything. Now, because I moved this page down, one line went to the next page, one line of white text, so we need to go in and move that last line and take off the white character style. So the white pages, this is manual, this is something that you have to do, and this is one little tweak can change the structure of it, so you have to constantly think about what needs that white character style and what doesn't. All right, so now we're just going to continue on, and again I'm going to balance these pages later. Luna is where our chapter title, chapter 2 starts, so I'm going to set Luna. I'm going to put a page break there, and I'm going to set Luna in the chapter title, and then this needs to be the drop cap, and then we'll figure out this for white text in a little bit because we need to look at our other book to see how the structure is. All right, so for this book, she had the prologue, and then she had a half title page, and then the chapter 1 began. So we're going to do it the same way. We're going to have a half title page here, and I'm just going to write half title page just so when I do the graphic for the book, I'll know it goes on this page. And I think this is just the C master page. No, I have B. We'll just call it a C, so it doesn't really matter. All right, and I'm going to assign a C, and I'll add that graphic in later. And then this is where our book is technically going to begin. All right, so I just deleted the text frame off of this page. We're going to assign the C, which is the blank page, and then this page right here is going to be B. And we are going to go ahead and paste our graphic as the background. All right, so we know for prologue, we actually want this to be the Nyx, which is Scorpio. I'm going to go ahead and copy this and place it here. Edit, paste in place, and you can arrange it and send to the back if needed, but I believe I have a layer set up, so all the background graphics go onto the background layer. All right, so, and I know some of this may be confusing for you now, but in my new tutorials, I'm going to go into a lot of details of all of these kind of little specialties, so you'll be able to do this on your own. It may not make a lot of sense now, but hopefully when we get those videos out, it will start making sense. All right, so this is Nyx, so we actually need to change the graphic. And I just copy and paste the graphics because all I have to do is just update that new graphic, and it'll fill in to be the right size and everything. So we go to the links panel and we find where Nyx is, which I think I may have saved it under interior links. Black 3, was it Sagittarius? Nope. He is, I just saved it today, so, oh, okay, so Black 3 Cancer. I saved that the wrong way. We'll go ahead and open it. All right, so I did not finish apparently. So this is Cancer, so we already saved that. And then Scorpio, you're like, what are you doing, Stephanie? All right, so we're going to change this to 25%, and then we're going to save this as Scorpio. All right, so now I'm going to go back to my InDesign document, and we are going to place that document that I just saved, Scorpio. All right, so that is going to be our Nyx background, and you could create a master. So you would just have to assign it. I didn't because they were constantly changing, and I don't know why I do things sometimes. It was just easier for me to copy and paste the graphic instead of creating a master page. So it's really up to you if you want to create a master page for each graphic, or whether you just want to copy it one by one. That's really up to you. I think I didn't do it because I knew I was going to have to update this graphic every time, and since the chapters rotated, I knew I was going to have to update this graphic every time. So I think I did it mentally for myself, so I would have to mentally think about what graphic goes on that background, and I would need to make myself think about which one was needed. So that's probably the method to my madness. All right, so now what we're going to do, I'm actually going to delete this for now, because what I do is I'm going to actually go to chapter 1 here. I'm going to copy the background as well as the graphic for chapter 1. I'm going to select them both. And this was an L, I believe, on hers. Okay, so L. just ignore my thinking out loud. I'm going to copy these. So I selected both of them, did a Control C, and then we're going to come here and we're going to do a paste in place. All right. So now this was Sagittarius, and we know Luna is Cancer, so we need to update to the Cancer graphic. All right. And then this is chapter 1, so this is good. And we need to see where Ariana begins. She begins right on this line, so this actually needs to come down some. All right, and so now what we need to do is we need to do our little trick here and convert this to white text. Now, again, I would, because of the white text that is italics, that's going to be the manual part that you need to take a look at, because you'll need to manually set those italics. So what I would recommend is, since I have 2 screens, I have my other screen up and I'm just scrolling through that first page just to see if there are any italics. And there's not, so we're good. All right, so this drop cap looks a little funny again. So I think for this one, this is one of those ones where I had to customize each drop cap letter myself. So, you know, sometimes that's a pain in the butt, but sometimes it's necessary if you want it a certain way. All right, so now this is an L, and I'm just scrolling through my previous book to cheat, to see if there's any L's, to know what little graphic I used. And there may have not been. Bolton, the S, T, L. There we go. There's an L. So I'm going to go to this page. I'm going to select this little swoosh. I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to do a paste in place. All right. So didn't line up exactly as is, which I see why Luna should actually be dropped down here. All right, so there we go. And if you want to see what it looks like in high quality, we'll just switch to the high quality version, and you can see that the graphics became a lot crisper. All right, and then the next thing I'm going to do, chapter 1 should be where page 1 begins. So everything prior to chapter 1 is Roman numeral, and then at chapter 1 is where we begin page 1. So what I'm going to do is go to this page. In the Pages panel, we are on this page right here, and I'm going to right click after I've clicked it and go to numbering and section options. We want a new section to start here, and we want to start page numbering at 1. Then we're going to click on OK. All right, and so now chapter 1 begins on page 1, and then all the pages after that continue. All right, so here is more text. So we're going to just set this in our text. All right, so text, and that means we need a chapter or space above, and I'm just going to line that up. Same thing here, text, chapter text, space above, and I will just add in the graphic later, not a big deal right now. I'm just going to scroll through, text, whoops, text. And you can also, this little eyedropper tool copies formatting. So what I did is I selected chapter text space above up here and copied the formatting. And it will automatically, you can just scroll through your entire document copying formatting like that. That's a little time-saving tip. All right, and then I promise we're almost done. We're just going to select chapter 1, I'm in text 1, and this is also, this will be text 2, this is text 1, and then text 1. And then I believe this one here starts as chapter 2, so we're going to go ahead and hit a page break there. And we are going to set Nix in a chapter title style. This is going to get the first pair of drop cap. We're going to delete this because chapters are always going to start on a right-hand page. And there are things that you can set in the paragraph style for like the chapter title to automatically go to that page. I just did not. And this is chapter 2, so I'm going to go look at chapter 2. I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to paste in place. So we have our chapter 2 graphic already. Now we need to change this to the Scorpio graphic, and then we need to figure out what happened to our, let's say, layers. We want these to be on the background. All right. And then for some reason we do not have our chapter title set up properly, so I'm just going to drop this down. I probably did a lot of manual stuff on this, so this is probably not the best example. So we're going to go here, make this text white, and I am checking in the Word document to make sure there are no italics in that part, and there are not. All right, and I'm going to worry about setting this up later. You already saw me do that, so you should already know how to do that. And I have some text exchanges to set up, so I'm not going to worry about that. But here is our next chapter, so I'm going to go ahead. The reason why I'm doing this kind of quickly, because you don't need to watch me do this whole thing. And I'm going to show you something that we're going to do here. And we need to bring this down here, and then this is chapter 3, so we need to go to our previous book and cheat and copy the chapter 3 graphic in the background, paste in place. It needs to be on the background layer, and we need to change the graphic to Scorpio. Alright, so now this is our first instance of having white text here. But because I haven't balanced the pages yet, I'm probably going to have to redo this a little bit later when I actually balance the pages and set all of these texts. There were a couple of text conversations. It's going to shift some of the text, so but for this purpose, I'm going to go ahead and set this to black text, but that's something that you'll need to check when you're, if you're doing a book like this. All right, so now this particular graphic already has the little swoosh, so I don't need to do anything extra, but I can tell you we probably had a W. We may needed to do some special circumstances to bring it up and over just so it doesn't hit any letters, but this it looks like we need to add in some tracking here to push those letters that way, and we need to bring the baseline shift down just a hair. And so in books like this, we do have a lot of little customizations that we need to do to make the chapter title, the drop caps work properly. So again, when you're designing books, those are some of the time-consuming things that you need to worry about. Also, another thing that I did manually that I probably shouldn't have done is these headers. I'll look to see what I did. If I had done it properly, I would have created another chapter, another master page for the black pages that had the header in white, but I cheated and did not do that properly. So learn from me, do it right in the long run. It'll save you a little bit of effort. But that was definitely not a quick video because it looks like this is an hour long, so I hope you watched it in like triple time, and where I sound like a squeaky little mouse. But hopefully that gives you an overview of Black Pages. It may seem a little complicated, but it's really, really not once you get into doing it and know what you're doing. All right, that's it for now.